This is Business Glide, and I'm yours truly, your resident economist, Richard Mwanja. Welcome to the conversation. Today we continue unpacking economic conversations that are of importance to you as a taxpayer and a Kenyan at large. I'm Richard Mwanja. Welcome to the conversation. I have your favorite think tank, Professor Herman Manyora. He's also an economist of some sort. We want to understand how good he is at that.
I like the word of some sort.
Yeah. Because you come off as someone who is a master of many trades.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's out of natural talent or...
Just God's. It's God, manze.
The God manze.
Yes.
How about us? Children of a lesser God?
No. Just God can give you a gift. You have your gifts, I have mine.
But you seem to have one too
I'm
many.
at ease with almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Makes sense, Prof. I want us to kickstart our conversation, and the conversation is about whether Kenya is a dumping site for all that is not wanted by other people outside our borders as a country. And this is with regards to what Kenyans are consuming. It has been reported, and most recently, rice has made it to the market, and rice which is not fit for human consumption. Checks have been done by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, but somewhat, despite their efforts to contain it from getting to the market, it still made away, and Kenyans are consuming that rice which is unfit for human consumption. We are not only talking about rice. A few months ago, we had the edible oil scandal. A few years back, we saw sugar coming into the market, which is not fit for human consumption. And Prof, you are a seasoned person in this country. Why, as a country, 60 years later after independence, we still don't seem to understand the sanctity of human life?
I just don't know, but I think Kenya has no owners. That's the biggest problem. You know, a country must have people who feel for it. There must be people to who, when you touch Kenya, it's like you have cut up them with a razor blade. And these people, I'm talking about leaders. Leaders must feel for the country, must love the people, must love the country. That way they will not allow the country, the people of the country to go through what Kenyans are going through. So it's unfortunate we don't have somebody who... People use Kenya to make money. It's very unfortunate, but that's the truth. The leadership we have had since independence is a leadership that uses the country as an enterprise to make money.
Then, Prof,
so they don't feel for the country. I was doing some research for KWTA, and we were working with the Ogeki communities, the people called the Robos. And we were at, I think, Fontana Hotel, what they call for focus group discussion with the people from the community and other people. One old man stood, and I've never forgotten. He was talking about the Ndorobo, or the Ogek, who have been pushed from the forests and are now staying on the roadsides in makeshift things, polythene paper and what have you. The man spoke until he touched my heart. He said, if I was the president of this country, if I were the president of this country, I would resign.
Why?
I cannot be president in a country where people are living like animals, like those people. I was really touched. And that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. If you are a leader of a country, it's just like being a leader of a family. You cannot allow your children to consume filth under your watch. You cannot allow neighbors to give poison food to your children. But we live in a country where nobody cares for the people of this country. And that's why, both from within and from without, we are consuming and imbibing things that are poisonous. And even as we continue to talk about cancer and other ailments, a lot of it is coming from the things we are eating, and yet government doesn't seem to care. In America, we have the FDA. Is it FDA? Yeah. They really care what people eat and what enters the country and what enters the body of an American citizen. It's of paramount importance. Here, we don't even know the drugs we take.
Pharmaceuticals?
Whether they are, nobody cares for this country. That's the bottom line. But nobody seems to care. The country is not in the heart of anybody. To care that, don't even talk about foreigners. Talk about yourself. All the bananas you eat in Nairobi are ripened using chemicals. Mangoes, you get them raw, put them in a drum, with chemicals, get them out, they arrive. Bananas the same.
Our fellow Kenyans?
What impact does that have? A few years ago, there was a documentary, I think on NTV or one of these TV stations. Somebody showing the chicken we eat and the meat. People inject chemicals into the meat so that it doesn't go bad. Dangerous chemicals.
Red Alert by Dennis Okari.
There was a serious documentary about dumping of radioactive waste or whatever it was. By the way, I wrote a short story about that. I didn't even know.
The northern
Now
frontier?
currently affecting people around Meru and Isiolo and the rest of those places with cancer. Nobody cares for this country. That is the problem, and it's a naked truth.
Prof, there seems to be an entity that cares for Kenyans,
Yes.
and this is the KEBS. I want to understand, how then do you explain that KEBS does quality assurance checks on what comes into the country, but somewhat it still flips through their fingers, makes it to the market?
First of all, KEBS is a very serious body. It has a capacity to do its work.
What is the missing
But
link?
two things stand out. You need political goodwill so that if you say these goods are not coming in the country, they don't come. But if KEBS say these goods are not fit for human consumption, they should not be offloaded from the ship, from the cargo ship. And one telephone call, they are offloaded.
They're released into the market.
Yes. What do KEBS people do? You give up. And then you join them. You know, I can also be rich. That's number one. Number two, we live in a country where we worship money. We worship money. Money is everything to Kenyans. When people see somebody like Manyora without money, I've been ridiculed in many places by people. I'm somewhere on some forum and I'm being told I'm the only poor person there. We were two, one of them resigned.
You're not a
They say, you say Manyora and so are the only poor people here.
in the room.
Yeah, in the forum. I don't want to mention which forum. So, in other words, money is everything and we worship money. So for that reason, young men we have taken to school, young women we have given degrees and qualifications. When they are trying to certify a road as good, all they look at is what the contractor is giving them. Not that this bridge will kill people tomorrow. Not that this road will be washed away. Kenyans having spent 10 billion of taxpayers. Then the road is washed away after a year or two. They say correct, certify, correct, good road, good works, certificate of completion. The same with KEBS. They know this food will kill Kenyans. This is slow poison. This will cause cancer. But because somebody is giving somebody 5 million shillings, 10 million for the oil to come in, they take and put here. Then they go home and they give 200,000 everybody. Yeah. So, you know, we have a problem in this country. We have to sort out that problem.
Step into Brooklyn Boutique in Juja today at JB Stores, first floor in Juja. Discover the latest women's fashion in jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, and purses. Call us today at 0721 348 629. Brooklyn Boutique, where style meets elegance.
However, Prof, we have seen some of those implicated in such scandals being taken to court, charges being put on their table, but we are yet to see them going into prison. I want to understand, how hard is it for us to send such people to the prison, Taylor, for their measurements to be taken, so that we fix this issue?
Kenya is one ecosystem of corruption. And corruption in this country is an industry. So all the institutions of state,
including judiciary?
All the institutions of state, including judiciary, those institutions, all of them that are meant to ensure that Kenyans live a civilized life, a decent life. All the institutions of state are part and parcel of the ecosystem of corruption. They all abet corruption and theft and plunder
So, Prof,
and bad governance. It is not a simple thing to sort out the problem this country has. And it's not just Kenya alone. This is why countries that have reached where we have reached have only been saved through some kind of revolution. Because the people still elect the same people to office. So through election, you are doomed. You are unlikely to elect Okiya Mtata because he's the only one, he's an outsider. He's the only one who can dismantle these things and drain the swamp. So we are still looking at Ruto, Raila, Kalonzo, Mudavadi. The same people, they can't drain the swamp.
They can't.
They are part of the ecosystem.
With regards to heralding changes in this country and now fixing the issue on what comes into the country, if you were the man in charge, how different would you do it so that you make sure Kenyans get the best on their plates or on their tables?
If I'm in charge of this country, Kenyans will come first. So everything will flow from there. Kenyans, number one. The people of this country will be at the bottom of my heart. And everything I do will be for them. If in the process of doing it, I'll be removed from power, so be it. If in the process of doing it, I'll be killed, so be it. If I was the president, what I'll do will be meant for the good of the country and the people of the country. So there's no way, not a chance in the whole world God has made, heaven and earth and everything else. There is no chance. People will bring the sort of things they are bringing in this country for Kenyans to consume.
Even not at the expense of you losing out on donor funding?
I've already told you that I don't even want donor funding. We don't need donor funding. It's the donors who need us. It's the other way around. We don't need donor funding. What do donors fund here? They don't fund anything. You read books. You people, you're economists. You say, I talk economy because I've also read a lot of stuff. You read Lords of Poverty, for example.
Food for the refugees in your country.
Which refugees? No, nothing. Which Kenya has enough money to sort out its small problems. Kenya is a country with about 50 million population, 50 million people. Please, Richard. India and China as countries, as nations, they have over 1 billion people to feed. There are more people in China than there are people in Africa. We are almost catching up as Africa, not as Kenya. So feeding this population of Kenya is, let me tell you something.
Sure.
Richard, do you know Tana River alone can produce all the food we need, and yet it's not even the most fertile part of this country?
Do another Galana Kulalu there.
You know Galana Kulalu, and I keep questioning those, including the deputy president, now the president. Supposing Galana Kulalu had succeeded, and they were saying they will be doing 60 bags per acre. I asked them, well, it's a little far-fetched. But you see, in agriculture, 40 would be the average. Good, when you are doing well. So that's supposed to be high level. And because of the climate, all you need is irrigation and you can do more than 40. So let's say you did 40. Not the 60 they were talking about. And then you did 1 million acres. How many bags are those? 40 million bags?
Yeah, sure.
How much does Kenya need? About the same. So I was telling them, if Gulana Kulalu were to succeed, in a sense you are saying all the farmers, and because you are producing to scale, using economies of scale, and value addition and everything else on site, the maize flour or the maize will be so cheap, nobody else would grow maize in Kenya. Because they will produce enough maize, the maize, and the amount of maize Kenya needs in a year, they will produce from that scheme alone. Unless I'm getting it wrong. So, you know, sometimes there's sure. From that scheme alone. And it will be cheaper than anywhere else. So what is the government telling Kenyans at that time? They are telling Kenyans, the farmers in North Rift, they can go hang on the nearest tree.
Or do alternative crop.
The same government, as they would do that, they have not made any alternative for those farmers in Trans Nzoia who are in Gishu, Nandi, and the rest. No, they have not. And yet they were glorifying. That's what I said. We have a problem in this country. We have a big problem. So, this country has all you need. The 4 counties, Garissa, Mandela, Wajir, let's add on Isiolo, Marsabit. If you give them water, just water, and giving them water is not rocket science. If you give them water, the amount of money we allocate to dams in this country, dams, the so-called dams, they never get finished. So we never see them working. The amount of money allocated to dams in this country, the amount of money we put in the Ministry of Water, which is supposed to go to counties, by the way, but which is retained at Nairobi. That money alone is enough to flood those counties plus Kitui and Machakos and Makueni. Flood them with water.
Make them green counties?
And once you flood, even the Ukambani counties alone, you know how huge Makueni is. If you just give the Ukambani counties water, nothing else, just water, they can feed the whole country without a problem. The northeastern counties of Mandela, Wajir, and then we add on Marsabit, Isiolo, Mandela. Those counties, if you give them water, they will create enough jobs to make unemployment a thing of the past through the livestock industry, through value addition. Those counties of Mandela and Wajir, if you just give them water for pasture, then for water for drinking animals, and then you have the modern slaughterhouses, modern, latest
Abattoirs.
abattoirs, the best. And then value addition on the skins and hides and everything, and the production of animal feed as byproducts. You will employ enough Kenyans so that there's nobody in Nairobi looking for a job. This country just wants ideas.
Bigger thinking in the room?
Yeah, this country has everything. 50 million people. In the 21st century, feeding 50 million people is a joke. For government can give everybody free food. Free. Unaamka tu unakula unalala.
Well, there you have it. That point takes us to the wrap of our day's conversation. We've touched a raft of issues in the world of economy. How about now we rope in our segment, Fan of the Week? It is none other than Ian Karanja from Kapkoi Sisal.
From
Kapkoi Sisal.
Kapkoi Sisal. I know Kapkoi Sisal.
Oh, you do?
Yes, Ian Karanja.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very
Asanteni sana. Keep on tuned to this particular edition. We wait to see you on our next one, so stay glued to the channel.
Step into Brooklyn Boutique in Juja today at JB Stores, first floor in Juja. Discover the latest women's fashion in jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, and purses. Call us today at 0721 348 629. Brooklyn Boutique, where style meets elegance.